All right, what is up, YouTube? Ben will be on. He just texted me. He said he's going to be here in about 5 minutes. Welcome back to the Baitman stream, Baitman live, Baitman, whatever you want to call it, the Baitcast. Actually, that's probably what I'm going to roll with. So, if you're listening to this, I'm going to put it on a podcast platform. So we're going to have listeners of the podcast, webcast, whatever. The downloadable version will be called the Baitcast. And two meanings of that. The baits, like fishing baits, and debate, like we're going to debate something, because I plan on having some guests that we can actually debate some topics with. Ben, he just texted me, be on at 5. If you're following Ben on Instagram and other stuff, he's been traveling, so really kind of squeezing this in. So two things I want to address real quick. Got a $5.69 donation from Adam Fuhrer. Hopefully I said your last name right, Adam. He says, thanks for all the great content. Always enjoy your streams, even I don't get to watch them live very often. That's the great thing about YouTube, is you can watch them live, or you can come back and watch them later. And that's why I'm going to move some of these streams to downloadable content. Hopefully get it all the podcast platforms. That's something I'm going to work on this weekend. And then the Funky Fisherman showed out with a $10 make you holla. Appreciate that for the $10 donation. So Ben will be on here in just a minute. Do me a big favor. Go ahead and smash the like button for me. And once Ben gets on here, I'd like to see you guys start sharing it out. So I'm just going to shoot the BS with you guys for just a minute. Frank Hazley, my good friend Frank. He's a great fisherman, by the way. One of the nicest guys out there. What's up, Baitman? Look forward to the show, seeing the BFLs. I am going to fish the BFLs as a co. I like the fact that the regional is on Lake of the Ozarks for the LBL division. I feel like that'd be a good derby for me if I could qualify as a co-angler. And I'll bring the GoPro along. Howdy, bait hoarders. Howdy, Bio Burner. Dude, you've been with me forever. I appreciate your support, man. Yeah, so Jim Akins passed away. The guy that invented the Akins jig, one of the best finesse ball jigs ever made. In fact, it probably actually started the trend of those finesse ball jigs. I make my own. I use different ones. I've been posting finesse jigs all week. And matter of fact, I probably need to do a little tribute for Jim Akins. My buddy Darius King. Darius has been slaying them on Kentucky Lake. You need to start a guide service, Darius. If I wasn't doing all these TV shows for Mark this week, I would have texted you to go. Lewis, what's up, man? Give y'all some shout outs here. What's up, Scott? One of my favorite names here. Critical Gravy. What's up, Caleb Morgan? Longtime supporter. Appreciate you, Caleb. Let's see here. We got Tom Mix in here. Bruce, I don't think I've ever seen you in here. Bruce, appreciate you joining. So, there he is. There's Ben. All right, I'm going to get him in here. Hold on.
Thanks, Cole.
There's Ben.
What's up, Kevin?
What's up, man? So
How we doing?
I was just giving everybody shout outs and shooting the BS. I'm glad. I want to say I'm really glad you joined us tonight. It's been a while. It's nice to send a message to a guy of your status. It doesn't leave me on red like some other people in the industry. I know I'm not Chris Zaldane or anything, but
I don't know what you're talking about, Kevin, but I would always come on your podcast. I was just telling my boy Don that I'm staying with out here in Colorado that I've known you forever, my man, and I would always hop on.
So this is totally random. I see the Astros hat.
Yeah.
So my boy from Tennessee, Drew Gilbert, the bat flick king, was the Astros' #1 pick in the draft.
Oh, that's badass.
So
man.
now I root for the Astros.
That's cool. There's a cool team to root for. Whoa, I got a terrible camera situation here. Sorry about that. But I have such bad. I'm like you, except not like you anymore because your team's actually good at football. But I've had such bad luck with freaking sports teams lately. I got to hop on a bandwagon, a hometown bandwagon once in a while. So it was good to see a team that I'm supporting actually win some damn games this year.
Yeah, dude, I'm not gonna lie. That last decade's pretty rough on both of us.
Oh, brutal.
Like
Brutal.
So you're almost at 500,000 subs. And real quick before I do that, I'm spontaneous. I got to give a shout out to Trit Fishing. He just joined. He's a new member. And then Hunter Nixon just sent a $10 dono. He said,
Yes.
I heard NetBait is phasing out their black packaging. Any truth? Yes, everything's going to be NetBait with bait fuel. But anyway, so you're getting almost 500,000 subscribers. I just watched your video. I am a member to the
Deal.
I am a member.
Yes.
So I hope my face makes it on your boat somehow. But anyway, so you've been doing videos for a long, long time. Like, me and you basically started YouTube channels within the same week. And
that's crazy. Yeah.
I remember you texted me. I hit 1,500, and you're like, "Dude, you're going crazy. You'll be at 10,000 in no time." And then I quit making videos. But what I'm saying is, for anybody that's watching and you don't know Ben, he really did just start out doing small videos in his kitchen, wherever, and now, dude, this is your job.
Yeah, man, it's been crazy. It's cool to see how far it's come, and I've been doing it for I didn't realize it, but 6 or 7 years now, full time as a job. It's been freaking wild how fast it's gone by. But yeah, you kind of keep your head down and just put out all this content. Before you know it, it's winter, and then it's summer, and then it's fall, and then it's spring again. It's just everything just flies by with life.
Yeah, so one of the original videos I remember was in 2016 or 17. You did a little unboxing. Nebraska and Tennessee were playing in the Music City Bowl.
Oh, man.
And you taunted me. And of course, Tennessee won, but we had some rough years after that too. So it's just,
that's funny.
The crazy thing this year, I'm watching the Baitman Tennessee game. I'm more nervous than nervous can be. And you put that Instagram story up, and I'll never forget you looking off that laptop is this really going to happen? And I'm like, man, we're going to crap the bed now. But we won, and I text you, is this what it is like to catch a DD? And you put, no, dude, it's better.
Oh, absolutely. I would give so much to watch Nebraska beat a damn good opponent, or even have a formidable year at this point. It's just it's painful. You know the feeling.
Yeah, well, the reason we're here isn't to talk football. We could definitely talk football and sports.
Deal.
But we're here to talk about big baits, Milliken fishing, the Bassmaster Open. And I'm going to do something special. For you guys in chat, I'll give this away in chat. Because I just happen to have an extra one. I'm going to give away a signed draw from Ben Milliken. So we'll do this completely random. At the end of the night, we'll get ready. This is a good color. You know what? This is a good time. If you guys don't know about the draw, this is the guy to ask because he designed the bait. And this one's in shad burst. Trust me, this one's pristine. I haven't thrown this one yet. But when you designed this bait right here, what was your intent? Did you want this long, slender, almost trout, but can still be a shad profile? Matter of fact, this almost looks like a herring. What we got is skipjack here in Kentucky.
Yep.
It's actually got a skipjack profile.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, this is when we designed the bait and I first started with it, I wanted the bait to be as versatile as possible. So a common bait fish shape was absolutely important to me. But it's also important because mechanically, the physics of it, a longer, more slender bait allows it to have a wider glide naturally. And so that's what we were trying to accomplish, a wide glide, a nice smooth glide. A lot of cheaper glide baits, production ABS glide baits, have a lot of rocking, forward to back rocking action, unnatural, not 3D scales, not super realistic in its movements. And that's a real negative key to the fish. And then we also did something special with it that I've talked about in my videos, and that is it's a very slow floating bait. And so that allows you to fish it in as shallow water as you want to, or you can add a little bit of wire or a little bit bigger hooks or split rings to get it to suspend just right, or add a little bit more wire, and you can really get that down to fish on live scope that you could see. Or obviously, if you just want to cover some water, fish it a little bit deeper in the column. a little bit of weight added to it as well. So you can do more with it because it's not a slow or fast sinking bait. It's just an all-around grinder bait.
Right.
I've never broken any part of the bait, and I have beat the shit out of them. I've had them for like 5 years now. I've never broken any part of the bait, and that's pretty impressive to me. I think every time I tie on a resin bait, at some point throughout the day, I'll break something on it, whether it be the part of the tail or break a hook off or a hook hanger or break it completely off the joints. So,
yeah,
I mean, it's a shameless plug, but if you're looking for a high quality glide bait that you can fish a lot of different ways, that is still going to catch the biggest fish in your lake and you can beat the crap out of, and it's not a $700 bait that you're going to literally cry and quit fishing because you lost it, that's the one.
So, I saw a guy today comment on a post on a 6 Cents page and basically said, and this is the kind of stuff gets me mad about social media. It's just like, well, this bait's, you didn't market it right because it's not resin and it's not $100. But his point was, I can't flip it when I'm done with it. Well, I mean, there's a group of guys on the internet, and I'm not mad at them. It's okay to make money. They're buying swim baits because in 3 months they can sell it and make $30, $40. The draw is not a bait that you're going to resell and make $30, $40. But it is a bait that you can throw it all year. If you don't throw it on 12-pound fluorocarbon, you're going to get it back. You can beat the crap out of it, and it's going to catch fish. So, like Oklahoma's worst angler, a good friend of mine, Alex, he said he just caught his first one on the draw in Gillikin. He said the slow float came in clutch, fishing over the top of the grass.
Yeah, that's a perfect application of that. I mean, I talk about the forward-facing sonar all the time, but it's such a good bait to fish whether you have it or not. I've had so many people send me big fish for their area of the country, fishing from the bank with it. First time they've ever fished a glide bait or a big bait. So it's great for new anglers to glide baits. It's great for people that have fished them for a long time. People are asking me all the time about the Depths 250. I'm like, that's like one of the best glide baits that's ever been created. But I think this bait can do what that bait does. I really, really do. And so at that price point.
I've caught 2 bass on a Depths 250. Now, I don't throw it like you. I've caught about a dozen on the draw. Now, I've thrown one more than the other, but I do like the 250. I mean, it is the OG of big swim baits. But I kind of look at it like, some of these, I got tons of crankbaits. I've got tons of OG crankbaits, but as technology has evolved, as fishing evolved, they still work great and I pull them out. But if I can pull one brand new out of the package, 6 Cents, whatever company, I'm probably going to fish it.
Yeah, for sure, man.
I did get a question on the draw on Instagram. I don't know if this guy's watching or not. He wanted to know what color is the draw in the thumbnail I'll put up there, and when is the mini draw coming?
Oh, that's actually the one I put in the thumbnail there was just a custom color that Casey painted up for me. It was like it wasn't a prototype. It was when we had it in production, and I told him straight up, like, I'm catching them on shad scents, which is probably the most natural color we have in that bait. It's a see-through blue top, yellow line.
That's what I throw all the time.
Yeah. It's about as good as you can do. But I told him straight up, I was like, hey, can you paint some up for me that have like literally almost zero paint, and we'll just I feel like I could catch a fish really good in a lot of situations on a bait that just has eyeballs and it has completely clear, no paint. And so he just threw on a little tiny bit of like some blue transparent on it on the back, and that's it. And it catches them. I don't know if it makes a big difference though, honestly. Like I catch them on the Ghost Glide is probably my favorite color all around. Shad Sense is super good. Gillikin's really good if you got a lot of bluegill in your area or stained water. Like the color isn't as important with the big baits as long as it looks somewhat like a natural bait fish pattern. I've found.
I kind of feel like glide bait's a lot like a jerk bait, because jerk bait, and you probably may know this from live scope, the fish are looking at the bait. It's not like a spinner bait goes by the stump and boom, they react to it.
Correct.
You're actually moving fish from point A to point B to your bait with a jerk bait or a glide bait. So I kind of look at the color the same way. As long as it's natural, overcast, I want a white or chartreuse. Yep. If it's a bright day, I want something flashy or translucent if the water's clear.
Yeah, but I mean, you're totally right, and you're absolutely right as far as a jerk bait and a glide bait. Comparatively, in any situation throughout the year, if you somewhere that you want to throw a jerk bait, a glide bait is as close to that presentation as possible. more so than any other bait. And as our good friend Captain Ron says, something to remember is I've never seen a shad turn chartreuse when the water gets muddy.
That's 100% correct.
Yep. So think about that.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. You know, I get caught up in colors. You know, I got that chartreuse purple thing, but
well, I mean, you can catch fish on that in clean water too.
You damn right you can.
Yep.
Let's get some questions here. I had a question earlier. 40 to 42 degree water, is that too cold for catching a fish on a big live bait?
Yeah, it is. It's not. It's possible. But yeah, there's better options. There's no reason to throw it, in my opinion, unless you just like live in Canada or something where they're just so used to it. As the water gets colder, under 60 degrees, you have to really start thinking about having your bait perform differently. Mm-hmm. You start fishing it more slowly, methodically, like a jerk bait. I weight it a lot less and get it to suspend more, get it to super, super slow sink if I'm going to go that route. But yeah, the cooler the water, and under 60 is different in Texas than a lot of places in the country. But even for the northern strands, I would, once it gets under 50 degrees, I think you can catch them better on other techniques like a jerk bait.
All right, here's one real quick from Ron Knight. What's your preferred line size for the draw? Is home lake is OH Ivy? Well,
that's a different thing there too. I prefer 25 pretty much all the time. I probably could, if I'm fishing the opens this year and I'm on a lake that's got the biggest fish are 3 to 4 pounders, I could probably bump down to 15 and get away with that and catch those fish. I would never even throw 20 at Ivy. I mean, you're just asking for it with all the salt cedars and stuff, along with obviously you could hook a 20 pounder there potentially. So that'd be stupid. 25 pound though, I'd go with that.
Have you seen 20-pound fish on your live scope at Ivy or any other lake?
I don't know, man. It gets so hard. I'd love to be one of the experts and say that I can tell how big they are per pound. But I've seen fish over 15 pounds, and I don't know if I can tell the difference between a 16-pounder and a 19-pounder or a 17-pounder and a 20-pounder. I like to think that there are, but the biggest fish that's ever been caught there is 17 pounds. And me and Cole actually had this conversation in the car today, out of all days, what the biggest fish in there is. And I think we're both of the consensus. There's probably, maybe not right now, but maybe in a month, there'll probably be a 18 to 19 in there. But I don't know about 20, maybe.
So I hate to beat a dead horse, but it's a good topic. And, you know, the fishing world's hot about it. There's a lot of pressure out on Ivy. Like, this is a true story. Ben can back me up here. Almost 2 years ago, when the whole Ivy explosion happened, thanks to yours truly here in the Team 6. Definitely wasn't me. I could barely catch an 8-pounder. But anyway, Ben's trying to find an open boat ramp in Texas. Like, regardless of rumors some people have put on the internet and other people have posted that they found this glory hole. Ben texted me the day before him and Zark fished and said, the only place I can find that has an open ramp is a lake called OH Ivy, because we're all going to meet at Choke Canyon. They're just stopping to fish. And we had this winter storm, and my text back to Ben was exactly, I've been there, filmed Gary Klein for 2 days. He caught 2 fish. I said, if you catch them, they might be big giants. They live there. 24 hours later, holy shit, dude, we just caught 70 pounds, and Zark caught a 17-pounder. I'm like, nah, whatever. No. And then it blew up all on the internet. So that lake it's got them, but I wonder how long is that going to last with, you know, some people just pounding it and pounding it and pounding it. It's got a lot of pressure. I know your intentions were never to, like, blow the lake up. Yeah, it was good, though, because that place, man, it needed some economic boost. I mean, just looking at the tackle store that was there when we went there, dude, I got more in my bait room. Now they've really increased everything. There's people coming in every day. They're spending money. The economy in that little lake's pretty good. I just wonder, are the fish that difficult to catch the rest of the year when they're not feeding, where it's a live scope deal, or how long is that going to last?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely gotten beat up. It's gotten pressure, and I mean it's the type of lake that didn't get pressure for a long time. So that factors into it as well, where you have generations of fish that never heard of pinging, or not very much anyways, and now you have everybody doing the same types of stuff there. So that's made it a lot tougher. Now there's still a lot of the fish there. There's obviously been a ton of mortality. Plus the share lunker program takes the fish out of the lake, and supposedly they make it back in, and who knows if they end up surviving once they get back in. But yeah, I'm not going to be able to do it this year. I'm pretty bummed about it, but without question, my favorite time to go there would have been in June. Post spawn when they get on the big glide bait bite. I was really looking forward to going there, but unfortunately I'm not going to be able to do that this year. Hopefully next year. I'm hoping to maybe keep sending some people out that direction to OHIV to educate the fish a little bit more, so they stop eating some of the basic stuff and start eating some stuff that is a little bit more refined. So the fish still live there. It's definitely not going to be the same though as if it didn't blow up. Really, it would have been cool, though, if it would have been another year or two before I went to that lake and that happened at that lake, because I think we would be seeing like a lot of 17 to 20 pounders there. But It is what it is. Plus, I mean, lake level is going to be a big thing, too. Like, The lake's way lower than last time when you were there. It's like 7-8 feet lower than that. And it's a deep lake, but the whole lake and the fish and and everything, the way those big fish eat and ambush their big gizzard shad depends all upon that salt cedar and the hardwoods. And so if that lake drops another 10 feet, there's hardly going to be any of that in the water, and that's going to have a really negative impact, or at least change the fishery for sure.
Right. When me and Klein fished that, I filmed Klein, it was tough. And a lot of that stuff that we're throwing swim baits or rigs through that's way down at 40, 30 foot of water, or even 20 foot, that some of that was exposed, and he's pitching a jig or a worm, and it wasn't easy, and the water was a little bit different color, but I believe it's fed from the Colorado River, and so the water's a little bit cooler there, so that does help a little bit. But I mean, that's a lot of what's helped it, I think.
But yeah, man, it's a different place. It's got different fish in it for sure, and it seems like it's becoming obviously a little bit less impressive over time to see some of the fish that come out of it when it's a pretty common thing. But at the same time, people don't care how many people have caught a 12 or 13 or 14 pounder. Who doesn't want to go catch one of those?
Speaking of impressive, is this dude, what's his name? Tater Reynolds?
Yeah,
we're going to give Tater a shout out. Is he the best live scoper in the game?
I haven't been on a boat with them. We've been talking quite a bit to get on a boat together, and that's going to happen soon. But his catches are for sure, and his catches aren't like just out fishing like a trophy lake. Like he won like 4 of the 6 BFLs at Rayburn this year, and he's like 20 years old, and he won the super tournament. I fished the super tournament, and I didn't get to practice for it, so it sucked. He won that tournament, a 2-day tournament, by 11 pounds, a BFL at Rayburn, which has fished like shit the last year. Yeah. But this dude made over $100,000 in tournament winnings alone last year.
Just won
super young
grand.
Dude, just won 50 more grand. He's probably going to win at least one of the big Bass Bash tournaments at Rayburn and Toledo. He's a big Toledo Bend guy, which Toledo Bend's not fishing very well. But dude is unbelievable with his results of what he has done at that young age. He's another dude that's he's a crappie guide, and he's using a lot of that forward-facing knowledge from the crappie game. But he's actually applying it to tournaments, which has been just like mind-blowing to see.
Yeah, so Tater, if you're watching this is your shout-out. You got respect from the Baitman. And actually, Ben told me about you today, and I looked it up, and I was like, holy smokes, this dude is winning some stuff.
Look at the damn BFL results against, like, the local hammers, like Mundy, Castledine, like
Clark
smoking
Reeve and all
these
those
dudes.
Guys.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say this. I don't want to be controversial. There's a difference to me because I'm an OG Bass Derby guy. There's a difference to me going out the same lake and catching big giant bass all the time. I think that's cool. That's impressive. But what's really impressive is going out there and catching big bass and winning tournaments. Butch Brown wasn't a tournament guy. Now, I consider Butch like the godfather, the OG of the big swim baits, but Butch wasn't fishing tournaments or nothing. He knew his deal. His deal was go out there and catch these big stringers on smaller reservoirs with trout eating bass. And dude, I respect it. It was awesome. It definitely put swim baiting on the map. But I'm kind of getting desensitized to 10, 12, 14 pounders on OHIV. Like, catch one on a frog and that would be awesome. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, it's nothing to take away from the guys that are doing it out there. Like,
no,
obviously,
absolutely not.
We got our boy Josh Jones that's out there just freaking killing it, catching those freaking giants and share lunkers, and he's definitely changed everything when it comes to expectations and just what people are putting in the boat out there. Because you could say everyone's catching big ones, but no one does it as consistent as he's been able to do it. Yeah. So it's super impressive. But yeah, at the same time, I mean, it's two different things, and it's a cool time in fishing. I mean, people can make big podcasts about, is forward-facing sonar controversial, whatever. Well, it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter anymore. It's here to stay. It's not banned. It's not going to be banned next year or 5 years from now. It is what it is. And so it's cool as guys that are like you and I, who are social media guys, but also are infatuated with the tournament side of things, that you're seeing it merge, and we're going to kind of start to see, I guess, how this can really apply to the tournament situation, because it is two different games for sure. Yeah. There are a lot of guys that could go out that are professional top-level anglers, or even Tater Reynolds could go out to OHIV or a lot of the other big fish lakes, or even the small big fish lakes in Texas, and catch double digits like I've been catching. But that's not what they're doing with their life. Everyone only has so much time to get out and fish. So everyone's got different routes in this industry, and that's the cool thing about it.
Some of us work 40-plus hours a week.
Exactly.
There's nothing wrong with that. I work too much, it seems. And I was going to try to get down to Texas here in a couple weeks, and my schedule just changed as of tonight. So we'll see what happens. Dude.
Hey, if you're able to come down for a couple days, I'm going to be like balls deep in freaking preparing for the Opens. But a lot of that preparation, the most important part of the preparation is going to be behind the sonar screen on the trolling motor for me. So
I was going to say, I mean, if it's like organizing baits for the boats, I mean, I'm your guy.
Deal. Sounds good. That's actually that's the other 49% of is that 49% is figuring out and getting in the groove with live scope and everything, getting confidence, and then the other 2% is all the business shit I got to deal with to make boys, the logistics happen.
Our boy Zach, OP White Fishing, don't forget it. Team 6 has the best netmen in the game. That's a fact, bud. That is a fact.
Best netmen shirts. That's right.
Yeah. All right, let's get some questions. I've missed a bunch. I'm sorry. Let's see. Let's just go on here. All right, here's good. South Jersey's a good guy. Ben, have you had much success with deep crank downs like the Buka Dredger, the DRT, big crank downs, or are you more a glide bait fisherman?
Yeah, I'm more of a glide bait guy. But at the same time, I keep trying these big crank downs and fucking with them, but they haven't been as successful for me, but I can see them being more successful during the shad spawn bite, and I've caught fish in the tiny clash, grinding shallow points and stuff. There's definitely a place for them. I'm not the type of guy that's going to give any advice on a bait or a genre of baits that I'm not positive that I can apply to these areas. I don't see why it wouldn't work, but I also have a hard time, even as someone that I'm not like super wealthy or something like that. I don't want to go grind a freaking TK13 into 15 feet of water all day long because I'm going to lose 7 of them.
Yeah. So to me, this is my theory. I think those are great baits and they've got a niche. I know guys on Swim Bait Universe and other forums really like them. But if I'm going to throw a deep diving bait that imitates a shad, I'll just throw a C25.
Yeah, of course. Or any other, whatever bait range, whatever depth range you want to go to. We have crankbaits for that. I mean, that's another thing. Like you're catching fish down there that are relating to a reaction bite, and when you're getting fish that are related to a reaction bite, often like I've found so much the big crank downs that I'm trying to fish. are slow and clumsy with their action just because of how big they are. And so I can make fish react better with a 500 DD or 300 DD or a C15. It seems like than even those big baits. And I've really fished them a lot, more than I show on video. And yeah, I don't know, man. I'd rather crawl a line through down there. It seems like.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of like, I'm all into the balsa deal. Those small balsa baits, they have way more reaction. They're quicker. They come in and out of cover faster. Once you start bulking up your baits, you go to a bigger square barrel like a mini mag or a 4.0 from Strike King. It's a slower reaction time.
They don't come a lot of the crankdowns too. The way that their bill is set up with the front of the bait, they really grab a lot of grass in the front too, and you can't rip it out like you can a smaller crankbait with the tighter wiggle. It's more just like you really got to freaking crush that thing, crack it to make it even break through some of that grass. Which, it's not super applicable a lot of times.
All right, here's a good question from Frank. It has to do with forward-facing sonar. Frank's a good buddy of mine. He says, are you changing your forward-facing sonar settings from lake to lake, or do you have a standard palette you use?
I use the same palette every time, just the basic bitch like amber. But I do switch it up. I do switch like the gain quite a bit. I'm always changing. I don't ever keep it on manual depth range because it likes to think that it's 87 feet deep when it's 4 feet deep a lot of times, probably because I banged it against the rocks too much, the transducer that is. But yeah, I'll change up the gain as the day goes on a lot, depending on how much plankton and stuff gets heated up in the water, and that always is changing. Or I'll change some settings up depending on how deep I'm fishing. If I'm finding a lot of fish in 5 to 10 feet of water, I'm going to be changing my settings a lot more than if I'm finding my fish in a big open area, 25 to 40 feet of water. It seems like you gotta spend more time switching it up in the shallower water based on the grass, the docks, the wind blowing in, stuff like that when you're fishing shallower water. But cleaner, more open basins, you can kind of stick with your settings a lot more throughout the day.
That's an excellent question, and that's a great answer. Of course, I don't have a boat, so I'm just going to take notes for when I buy one this year. Here's a good comment. R&M Stevenson says, Ben, your video on using a rotary tool to get better action out of cheaper glides has saved my wallet big time. My wife and kids thank you.
That's
That was probably one of the better videos you've done as far as educating people. That's a Baitman style video, how to do a modification to a bait that is a good bait in itself, but you can make it just a little bit better and get you a few more bites. There's no telling how many guys had a flow guide, or I had one, and I was like swimming in the pool. I was like, man, there's something off about this bait. And I actually just filed it for like an hour and a half, and I was able to do that. And then you put out that video, and you've got guys that had these laying around or went to buy them, and they're posting photos like instantly.
Yeah,
dude, this thing
literally
works.
like hundreds of people messaging me and posting and stuff. It was super cool. But I think the biggest thing to be learned about that I really took from that I've learned the last like year and a half, 2 years or so, is just changing up the different angles of joints, and it educates you on what you're looking at. Before you buy a super expensive glide bait, you can look at that joint angle a little bit and see what that type of bait's going to do in the water column, and obviously how you can change the bait. You can make improvements to the bait based on your style of fishing and your body of water.
All right, here's a question, a non-bait question. This is from my buddy John. Ben, what is one adjustment you think you're going to have to make that you aren't used to when you fish the opens? This is going to be a different ball game.
Yeah, the biggest thing, without question for me, is going to be mentally handling people fishing around me and fishing the stuff that I find. It's so easy to say, yeah, that's one thing I'll have to figure out, and I'll just have to find a bunch of different stuff, and I'll go find stuff the other guys aren't on. But it's not going to be that way. Everyone that I've talked to that's fished them straight up says, like, every spot you go to is screwed. It's blown out. The fish are wrecked. There's going to be people there. There's going to be people that just left there. There's going to be people that were there before that you didn't even know about that blew the spot out too. So mentally handling all of the difficult pressures and mental strategy is going to be the biggest adjustment.
Yeah, that's basically Kentucky Lake in the heyday in June. I mean, you go out on a Tuesday, you don't have to work, and there's enough boats lined up on all the ledges for 10 miles. I mean, you're fishing retreads for months after that, And I think the Opens, someone asked what my predictions for Ben was. I'd like to hear his own predictions for himself. I said, I think Ben will have a decent year. I think to a good year. I feel like if you finish the top 25, 30 in points, that's a pretty good year for the first year on the Opens. And for, there's guys out there he's just a YouTuber and he can't manage this and that. Like, I've known Ben for a long time. He's a good tournament fisherman. And I think that's the difference between you and some other guys that have experimented with fishing the Opens that have a giant social platform. Is you were really doing the tournament thing for a long time, and you said, hey, I'm just going to start documenting this, and really that's kind of how the channel started. So I'd love to see you win one. I think you'll make a couple top 15s, possibly be on the right there in the thick of things, but I don't think there's anything to be ashamed of if you go into this and you finish like 23rd, 24th in points. I mean, that open field, let's be honest, it's about as stacked as an Elite Series field. There's a lot of guys that are fishing for the same dream as you are.
Yeah, man, it's tough to even say as far as expectation goes. I need to stay confident, obviously, and so saying that, I feel like the techniques that I know and the way that I fish and everything, I feel like I could win one and I could make the Elite Series in the top 9 in points. I'm gonna try every day to be my best and to grind. But realistically, I mean, in the top 25 in points would be unbelievably successful. A top 50, top 75 in points is nothing to scoff about. That's incredibly good with the field of anglers. So, I mean, I just need to manage my lows for sure. My tough days, I need to turn those days where I would blank into days where I have 6 pounds just for a point's sake. But I mean, I don't know. I'm just going to do my best that I can. And I'm going to do mostly, like I said, again, keep my head together. Don't worry about people fishing my spots. And I think a big thing is going to be just staying with it if I have a bad day one, which I'm going to have several bad day ones. So just making sure that I come back day 2.
Yeah, I think anytime you're in a long series haul, whether it's the Elite Series or the Opens, FLW Tour, the guys that seem to do the best year-round are guys that when they have a bad day, they follow it up with a decent day. Because, dude, a 0 goes a long way. I mean, there's some really good anglers that have had a 0 in a tournament or a bomb finish, and it just kills them an Angler of the Year, versus a guy that maybe he don't make the top 10, but he's still 45th, 50th place all the time. He's always getting those points.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Brad,
I mean, turning those 100th place finishes or 150th into a 68th or a 76th is going to be a huge deal.
Brad asked, my friend Brad, he's a Vol fan. Ben, if given the opportunity, would you to qualify for the Elite, say if you qualify, would you go fish the Elite Series?
I mean, I've been asked that a few times lately. I don't know how that's going to be possible to happen, but it's obviously at this point when we're all at 0 points, it's a possibility. I would 1,000% do it. It's not my. I don't really want to be judging my my income upon fishing against some of those dudes that are out there that are freaks. All of them on the Elite Series.
Yeah.
But you can't. I mean, it'd be stupid to fish the Opens and not at least know that you would do it if you made it.
Yeah, I mean that's if that happens, you get the invite. I mean that's a decision. I mean I know what I do. I'm already poor.
It's not
so
a decision. It's not a decision for me unless there's some type of family emergency or something. I would 100% fish them.
Let's see. Here you go. Here's another good question from Ron. On average, when you're on a new lake, how much time do you spend graphing before making a cast, and does side imaging come into play?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one giant misconception when people watch my videos. They think I'm just I don't even know. I found a brush pile, and then I'm just gonna before I went there, and I just make a cast at the brush pile all day until fish bite on live scope. But it really depends on the fishery, how much time I spend, based on the size of the fishery or the time of year. But yeah, graphing and the mapping and Google Earth are what I look at first. I spend a ton of time on that. And then once I get to the lake, I'll have a handful of areas picked out that I want to go scan quick. Generally, if I get to a lake for the very first time, I'll go graph with side imaging. After I've done the map study and the Google Earth study, I'll probably go spend an hour to 2 hours even finding areas that look like they hold fish. And generally, you can find something that looks like something and put the trolling motor down and go look at that point. But yeah, it's not like I just show up and start casting and looking at my live scope.
Yeah, they don't just jump in the boat regardless of what anyone says. Like I see Captain Ron, our good buddy Captain Ron, he is really dialed in on the down imaging and the side imaging. He gives some great tips on TikTok and whatnot. And I feel like because of forward-facing sonar, a group of guys have really forgot how powerful the side imaging is at finding bass.
Yeah, 1,000%, especially where you're at, man. And really anywhere in the country. I mean, if I had to, people said, like, would you rather have forward-facing sonar or would you rather have side imaging? Would you rather have forward-facing sonar or mapping? Generally, I would definitely say side imaging or mapping. And most lakes around the country, I would rather have than forward-facing. It's an invaluable tool.
Here's a wild question. Critical Gravy. Ben, you're an athlete. I agree. Former baseball player. Are you going to focus on health and diet more this year? I know you've lost a lot of weight and run on the treadmill, lift some weights, but going to a grinder season like that, are you going to do any maybe diet changes or anything?
I think mainly I've been slacking quite a bit lately. I haven't been back to Texas since my last day in Texas was December 21st, and so I'm so ready to be back there in like 2 or 3 days. But I guess the simple answer would be I'm going to try to exercise a lot more just to get my mental health better for it, to be honest. Like, I'm in great shape right now as far as like going out and fishing all day, but the mental side of things, just making sure I stay active and somewhat healthy with my eating, but mostly moving and building muscle. That's more important to me for my mental health as far as like my physical being able to handle the long days.
Here's one from the Mangler. Great dude here. Mangler wants to know, is your decision making going to change or are techniques going to change with having a co in the boat for the opens?
I don't know. The way I fish a lot of times with forward facing, once I get to an area that I found that's really productive, it's going to depend on time of year and the fishery. Everything is going to be different. This is such a diverse schedule of different types of fisheries that sometimes it will, but usually I don't think it's going to change much. I fish pretty fast. I leave stuff behind quite a bit because I'm kind of looking for active fish. And so I am going to give up some fish catches. And I always know that. But we don't have too many places on the schedule that are going to be like a Red River or a Sabine or a Chesapeake Bay like it was this last fall, where you need to maximize like 6 laydowns or you have nothing else to fish the rest of the day. We don't have any lakes that are really like that on the schedule. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about co-angler when you talk about those lakes where you got to fish one little spot for an hour or two. A co-angler catching a 4-pounder could, and I've seen it totally mess up the motor. And so long story short, years ago, I was working for Mike Ott, and he was leading a bass open on the Tennessee River. The Tennessee River, you actually fish with my buddy Matt. And he was leading the first day, smashed 19 pounds of smallmouth. So we're filming him for Lucky Craft. He boats about a 2.5-pound smallmouth, first one of the day. Co-angler nets it. Co-angler just fires basically right where he was. The current took him down, catches a 6-pound smallmouth. After that, Mike was pretty spun out on that deal, because he lost the tournament by 2 pounds. That's wow. But anyway,
that's rough, man. That's just another mental part of it, like I was talking about. It's gonna be crazy.
Let's talk some baits a little bit. I don't know if you got one with you. Let's talk about this new line through that you've been teasing us with. I like the soft swim baits. I've always been a fan of the Scottsboro. I love the Bass Tricks, the 316. So this new line through, what makes it so special? And when can we possibly see it?
Yeah, man. Unfortunately, I'm in Colorado right now. I'm on my buddy's bait wall in Colorado. He's inside. Shout out to heavy metal fisherman Don.
Yeah, man. It looks like he might have some OGs laying around there.
Oh, yeah. He's got all sorts of good stuff. Some Pose 400s and stuff back here. But Yeah, I have nothing that resembles a bait that weighs over about a quarter of an ounce right now. Been ice fishing for 2 freaking weeks. I'm ready to be out of it. But yeah, the line through. I guess what makes it special is a few different things. We're coming out with several different weighting methods of it. So at least 2 different. When we launch it, at least 2 different sink rates, but eventually we'll have 3 different sink rates. And the thing, I guess, the profile is very special with it. I've just caught so many fish on this 6 to 7 inch profile bait. Perfect imitator of a gizzard shad. A lot of people miss the bill when they come out with these line through swim baits. And I mean, it's kind of a plague in the industry as far as all these guys making similar shad glide baits. They want to make a bait that just like, it doesn't fish worth a shit below a 1.5 feet below the surface. Which is obviously a very small time window that you can catch them on. But this line through has just been unbelievably effective for these live scope fish. It's the best bait that I know of that you can catch a 4+ pound fish on, especially in any water that's 2 foot visibility or 1.5 foot visibility or greater. It catches them 365 days a year. One thing I really like about it that we're doing with this one, it has it's a top hook line through, which that's another thing, that there's very few top hook line throughs, almost none on the market, which makes 0 sense to me. I mean, you're fishing a bait. I don't care where you're fishing a bait, in the column or what lake, you're always wanting a bait to be able to come up to a piece of cover. And if you hit the piece of cover with the bottom hook, you're snagged. It's gone. Right. Goodbye. Or you're fishing it next to a super shallow laydown, or you could get it unsnagged. You're going to fish it through that piece of cover. It's going to deflect off. We want deflective properties at all times, right? Like, we want this bait to stay high in the column a lot of times, or just be able to fish over different types of structures. So why would we not have a hook on the top of the bait? And another big thing that does as well is when I'm fishing for these 8+ pound fish, biggest fish in the lake, their eyeballs are about that big. And so when they're ambushing a bait from the bottom, there's no hook on the bottom of the bait. It's riding up on top. They can't see anything from the bottom. It's just another thing that I've seen when fish are analyzing baits as they chase them, that they're going to come up and get it for. Another thing we've done too, obviously with 6 cents, we're going to have great colors in this bait. But the plastic density is just right. The tail design is just right. It's a different type of tail. It's almost like a pointed tail. It curves down to a point, much different than like the Mag Draft. And it gives this bait a different tail kick, kind of a weird rolling tail kick, and it rolls the whole bait kind of side to side and gives it a really nice head quiver. It's got kind of 3 different actions in one. And whenever you can get 2 actions in one and any type of soft swim bait, it's absolutely huge and it's killer. And yeah, this bait's going to be a special one, and I'm excited for people to get it.
I'm bringing this guy up because you know the power of this bait. There were some downfalls to it. It is the Babe, and I know you smashed him on the Babe. But when you talk about the tail kick and the head action, that's what make this bait so good. It is very limited though, because it sinks so slow. Like, I know you've done it, catch them in 12, 15 foot of water, and you literally have to count to like 20 seconds to let it hit the bottom. But,
and you have to have that perfect retrieve cadence.
Yes.
To be able to keep it doing the perfect head quiver, or it's not going to get bit.
Right. And it was really hard explaining that to guys that never fished a bait like that, because that one doesn't have any weight. You know, it's basically plastic that people are like, oh, I'm fishing when it's blowing out and it won't stop spinning. And I'm like, what gear ratio are you using? Well, I'm using 7-to-1. I'm like, man, honestly, get a 6 or slower, and you got to get in a pool and figure out this is how slow you got to reel it. And when you hit it right, dude, it's magic. But, you know, they're not making that bait anymore. My buddies, they had so many orders, like, hey, we were just trying to do this for fun, you know.
Yeah.
I think I kind of blew them up.
Yeah, for sure. It is a great bait. It's really tough to fish down the water column, and it's not a line through. So that harness, I've caught a handful of fish.
Out.
Harness tears out, and it's not doesn't have the properties which are great for a line through, where the bait slides up the line and you lose almost no fish on it because they're pinned.
Yeah, I love the line through. In fact, I like, for a budget guy, it's not a 6 cents bait, but Scottsboro Tackle swim bait is awesome, and I like their line through. I've caught some good ones on it. Matter of fact, I think I'm putting a YouTube short up of that tomorrow.
Sweet. Yep.
I got, I'm going to play the hits like Tactical. I'm just going to put some fish catches up there. anyways, so that's going to come when, early summer?
Oh yeah, didn't really say that. We're hoping for like June, maybe May, but probably June.
Yeah, so give us a little insight. Obviously you're tied in with 6 Sense even more than I am. I do get some good inside info every now and then, but tell us about the process. Like, let's take this bait for example. Probably one of the hottest drop shot baits in a long time, dude. These things flew off the shelf. This little glitch here. Now, it may be a different process with the soft plastic. How long does it take from you to go to a concept? So, me and you come up with a new, ringtail worm, and Casey said, I love it. How long does that take to go from the drawing board to hitting retail shelves?
Yeah, I wish there was a set answer on that. It definitely varies from bait to bait. It depends on a lot of different things. With hard bait, soft bait, obviously is very different. We're now in the process of, I think Casey's okay with me saying this, but we're in the process of making all of our soft baits in-house. And so once we get everything, we're making a lot of them in-house now with injection, some really cutting-edge injection techniques, which are making some great colors and baits like that glitch. We're in the process now where we're moving everything over to that as far as soft baits and maybe even eventually hard baits. That'd be incredible.
Yes.
But that process becomes a lot quicker at that point. But at the very least, I go to Casey and I tell him, just for instance, if we needed to come out with a large shad glide, that would be a really good bait to come out with, because there aren't any production shad glides that are any good that are over 7 inches and ABS. That process can be extremely long. Like, I come to him with the design, we go to the CAD guy, he draws it up, we send him samples, like, say, I want this bait to be this long, I want it to look like the Trace swim bait except a single joint bait, blow it up, make it bigger. He blows it up and puts on the computer, and I say, no, we want different scales, we want a different width of the bait, we need to weight it differently. And so we finally get everything together, say probably 6 months, and then we say, okay, we send it to the factory, we say we want this bait. And so they make a mold of it, a basic mold, no gills, no scales, nothing. They send it to us, which will be another couple months. And then I get it and I say, okay, well, this bait sinks like a rock. We need to have it in 10 different sink rates. Please make it in all these different sink rates. And so they do that. We get it back in 4 months after that, or 3 months. And so I get those. And then at that point, it's like, okay, this one's right, but it's weighted too much in the front and not the back. And so it sits too much head down. We need that posture to be balanced, but the sink rate's right. Okay, so they make another one. 2 or 3 more months go by. They get it to me. They send me 5 samples. Boom. Can test which one works best. Boom. This one is perfect. Now it's time to go to the CAD guy. The CAD guy needs to put 3D scales on it. We need to come up with our different fins we're putting on it. And at that point, we make a mold. We get everything right once we okay that. We send it back to the factory. They come back in probably 3 months with the final mold. Boom. We get it, test a handful of different types of them, whatever they changed that was different. We say we like this one or these two, and we've sent it back to them. Me and Casey come up with the different color schemes for that bait. What are we going to launch it in? Is it better to launch it in 35 different color schemes? Is it better to launch it in 2 different sink rates, 4 different color schemes? What's going to do best? And then boom, we send it to them. We tell them what we want. We get the bait in 6 months. So
it's a long process.
Oh man, it can be painful. But then it's something as simple as the glitch right there. We have a soft bait, doesn't have a lot of detail to it, has a very specific purpose. It's going to be something where we have the shape, we have it mapped out in a couple months with what we want, and then we send it to the factory. They make the mold, or whoever we're having in the United States makes the mold, and they send it to us, and then we just basically have to figure out plastic density. Once we figure that out, within a month or 2, we can have the mold for it. We can start pouring in-house. So that's like a lot slower 6 to 9 month process.
Yeah. Part of my job is I extrude plastic / PVC. So I'm not saying I use molds, but it's a process too. I can't imagine doing it for that many baits, or being a company like Zoom or some of the other ones that millions of baits a year. But I understand the process, and maybe one day there may be a place for me to, be working with some plastic there in Texas.
That's
but,
right. Yeah.
I want to go back to the glitch a little bit. I'm not a drop shot guy, so you're going to educate me. Why, when you designed the glitch, we've seen so many different profiles, and the Robo Worm is kind of, goated. But why was this little bait here? I'll see if I can zoom in on my camera. This is, I love this color, by the way, Whiskey Dusk. Why was this bait? What made you come up with this style and design? And why's that been just smallmouth candy? And guys that aren't even sponsored by 6 Cents, I've seen them in their boat. I've seen a few elite guys have them hidden. So they're definitely working. But what made you kind of design that?
Yeah, I mean, we're never trying to put the same stuff out at 6 Cents as everyone else. I mean, there's a reason why we haven't come out with some of the most basic shapes in the market. We don't want to just come out with another craw that flaps, or another 10-inch worm with a ribbon tail on it, or another flatworm knockoff. We wanted to come out with something a little bit different. So the glitch is that nice 3-inch style bait profile that smallmouth and largemouth eat. I actually caught my biggest northern strain largemouth on that bait too. But it's just a nice natural bait fish presentation. But the biggest thing with that bait is its neutral buoyancy. So it sits really flat. It slenders down towards the tail, and then it gets a little more bulbous. So that tail naturally has a ton of wave and action to it. And that little bulb on the tail will actually, if you have a heavy enough weight or you pop it up off the bottom enough, really tight quiver and swim and flap to it. Plus, you got the eyeballs to it. You got a little tiny top fin to it. It's like a flatworm, but a little bit more natural.
It's a lot softer too.
Oh, it's way softer. You can't make the Max Sense stuff, which is kind of crappy material. You can't make it soft and pliable with what they inject into it.
One of my goals this year is to get out and actually do some drop shotting, and that's why I got those. And I'm pretty confident in that bait. I mean, you look at the 6 Cents fan page and all kinds of stuff. People love drop shotting it. So that's a good product for you.
Catches them for sure.
I'm going to tell you the one that really surprised me. And so I know OG Ben Milliken loved the Craw Tube back in the day, the Lake Fork Craw Tube, the big bite.
Yes, sir.
Back when I was selling tackle, dude was always ordering some from me. But this year, they released, or this past year, the Crube. Mm-hmm. And, dude, in a tournament, I caught the first 10 fish on the Crube first day throwing it. And this has actually turned into one of my confidence baits. And one thing I noticed on this bait is most tubes have a lot more, tentacles or tails. This is, it's a small profile, but it has less tentacles on it. Was there a reason you didn't want, a bunch of thin strand ones and you wanted it to go just like that,
Yeah, I mean, whoa, lost my camera there. Same type of concept as the draw. I don't have a place on my boat for baits that can't do a lot of things. And so in Nebraska, we fished, or not really Nebraska, but the entire Midwest in tournaments. I had several baits that I fished that did different things, and I wanted this bait to be able to do a lot of them. And I constantly fish a tube on a Texas rig, which is kind of different for smallmouth and largemouth, clean water largemouth, cold water largemouth. Absolutely freaking killer smoke purple tube. But I would always find myself tearing all but 4 or 5 of the tentacles off before I've made a cast with it. That's probably some juice that I don't want to share that much, but it is what it is.
That's fine.
Yeah, and so that's one big thing with that. Another thing is I always like to throw baits that would float off the bottom a little bit, and so but would be short and stout, kind of like a Ned rig type, but I would drag it through rock piles, flip it into brush piles, stuff like that, and get a ton of bites. So that bait fits that bill as well. And I really liked another juice bait that I'll probably give it away because it's discontinued. Is 3-inch Jackal Cover Craw is one of the best smallmouth baits ever on a Texas rig. I don't know if it's the cinch or the profile or whatever, but that little Crube is a great bait that's kind of like that as well. And so the thing with the Crube is, I mean, it's a hollow bait. So you can fish it with a jig head inside of it, but the last 1/4 inch is hard, so you can fish it as a Texas rig. You can bite the end of it off, the hard end of it off, and it makes a nice round blunt in like a really fat, short tube. And you can put that jig head in. You can even rip the side tentacles off of it, and it makes just a little finesse, short, chubby tube. You can do so much different things with that bait, and it's going to catch them in so many different situations.
So what I found when I was fishing this derb, the only one I fished last year, we got second. I actually caught my big fish on the hog walla Carolina rig, really old school, but it worked. But is if I would miss a fish on the rig or whatever we're using, I could throw that crube out there. And I was using like a 1/4 ounce sinker, 12-pound fluorocarbon. I had a 2-aught. This is the best hook I've found. I know 6 cents makes great flipping hooks, but this little finesse heavy cover, it's a small flipping hook. Dude, it pairs up with that crube so well, a little 2-aught. I could throw it back where I got a bite and just sit it there and kind of a little hop. And I haven't seen it underwater, so I don't know exactly what it was doing. But I feel like it looked like just a little baby crawfish. And I could pick that fish off. Now, a lot of times they weren't big. But, it's become a confidence bait to me. And I'm not a guy that was a big Craw Tube guy to begin with. But after that, I've had it tied on a lot this year. And it's a really good bait.
Even niche techniques like you can punch mats with it. It kind of has the place of like a BB cricket type bite where you don't want any action. It's a great bed fishing bait for smallmouth or largemouth. Just a short, compact profile. You can put a bigger hook in so that hook point's back there by the end of it so they can't just grab the end. Yet it looks like whatever craw would be trying to stir up their bed. It does a lot of different things really well.
I would love to actually see like a 4.5-inch version. So my stupid tube guys and myself, it's a sneaky deal, but it's just a little small for a stupid tube, and that's a big Indiana, Ohio deal.
Might be working on something there, so don't worry.
Oh, that's good. You know, I'm all about the baits. The problem is, and I ran into this last year, 6 cents was coming out with so much stuff so quick. I'm like, holy cow, I can't even keep up. They'll send me stuff, and then I'll put it out there, and the next thing, Royal's got these new things, and then you got these, and I'm like, holy crap, where do we go? But my favorite bait, and you can explain this. You don't have a lot of cover. You can do this or areas in Texas, but me and the flat finesse 4, that's just juice, man. And when you go back to the bait process and bait making, I had one of the early prototypes, and I sent Casey this big long text. I literally tested for like hours. And from the prototype to the production model, I think they knocked it out. That bait runs really good, but the part of the country you're in is not a huge shallow cranking area.
Yeah, there's a couple specific lakes you can, but yeah, not a ton. But again, I'm going to be fishing a lot of different stuff in the opens this year. That's going to be a player for sure. It'll be on my boat every tournament.
Dude, I like flat sides a lot, and I like a balsa flat side. Make no mistakes about it. I'd prefer throwing balsa, but from a production standpoint, a mass standpoint, that bait right there is really, really good. I'll tell you right now, it's every bit as good as a Little John, and I think the Little John's a really good bait, and I'm still going to throw it, but a little bit bigger profile. I know some guys say compare it to a chick magnet. There's no comparison to that. I ain't trying to make anybody mad. Chick magnet's junk to me, but all right, let's get some more questions for Ben, and then if you're just joining us, I am going to give this draw away here in about, how much longer you got, Ben? About 20 minutes?
Deal. Sounds good to me. I need to refill my beer here quick, but I can do that while I'm on the screen. Check this out. I got a whole pony keg right here. I'm refilling on my buddy's boat.
Dude,
so it's a two-hand process, so I'm going to have to put you down for just a second, guys.
All right, well, I'm going to go refill my water because I don't drink, and tell them about something upcoming from 6 Cents that we don't know about yet, but you can talk about.
That's nothing, Kevin. Now, we got some good stuff coming from 6 Cents. Like I said, the entire process of coming out with these new baits can take a lot of time. One thing that I'm super stoked for, if you guys watched on my channel, I actually put the video out on the 1st of January. I was lucky enough to go fish with Corey Johnston, who we signed with 6 Cents for a very, very long time. And the main point to get Corey on with 6 Cents, not only is he a great fisherman and a great person, but we're really trying to build our lineup of smallmouth baits and just baits with a northern inspiration, because that's kind of where we haven't necessarily missed the bill with 6 Cents, but it's an area where, as a Texas company, we haven't really been able to focus. We're not trying to put out baits just to fill niches or fill gaps in the lineup. We're trying to put out the best baits to catch fish. And so having Corey on board is going to be extremely exciting to develop all sorts of different soft and hard baits that, I mean, trust me, I saw some stuff on Corey's boat when I was fishing with him for 3 days that I could not believe that he uses, that he catches fish on. He just got done fishing the Costa, or the Costa, the whatever the hell it's called these days, with the Toyota. And he had them all sitting on his deck, and that's what he threw in the tournament, or in our day's fun fishing. That's what he threw in the tournament too. And I was like, dude, you really got that tied up? He's like, yeah. My co-angler the first day didn't believe it either, and the first cast I made with it, I caught a 6-pounder. I was just like, oh my God, that is unbelievable. I've never seen anybody throw something like that. So, yeah, it'll be a good time.
Got several guys asking here in the chat, what about a Provoke Junior?
Yeah, Provoke Junior is a great idea. We got a new Provoke actually coming up very soon. I'll spill some juice for you guys soon.
Damn it, I was just fixing to order some more, so you're saying I need to hold off?
Yeah, it's honestly probably the only Provoke that I will use moving forward, which is the silent Provoke, shallow and deep.
Oh, really? As long as it comes in jank juice, I'll order a few of them.
Yeah, I think it does. I'm not sure.
Dude, I'm not going to lie. Every time I get ready to order some, they're sold out. So I guess that's a good thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's such a seasonal bait. It's like you don't ever think about needing it until it's like December and you're like, yeah, I should get those. Oh, there's 3 colors out of 27 left. Great.
Yeah, I mean, the color I love in the Provoke, and you would think I would love my own color a lot, is actually Ghost Bone Minnow. For some reason, that color freaking slays. And it's one of those colors you can keep tied on whether it's bright and sunny or it's overcast. Because when it's sunny, it gets a little transparent. When it's overcast, that white throws a really good flash.
Yeah, that's you've been watching my channel too much, Kevin. That's if I could only pick one, that'd be the one that I would pick for sure.
Don't get mad. I don't watch it that often.
That's a good thing. I don't blame you for that. But yeah, you're right, man. It goes back to what we said before. Bait fish don't turn chartreuse or bright pink or chrome when it turns muddy water or clean water. They stay the same color, and that's a color that gets bit all the time.
Yeah, there's a couple. One from Strike King. That Summer Sexy Shad, I film him in this TV show. So I get to see all his juice. He throws that. I know he'll talk about whites and overcast, but dude, that color catches them all the time. And
of course,
another thing too is when you got confidence in something, whether it's a big swim bait, a jerk bait, a finesse bait, confidence goes a long, long way. I meant to ask you a question. I totally forgot about it, but I seen a good one here. All right, I was going to ask you if there was an OG bait. It's no longer made anymore. What could you? What's an OG bait you would like to retool or bring back?
A hard bait or a soft bait?
Either way.
I've got one that. Oh man. I'll say it. Full-size 6-inch Who Daddy from Gene LaRue. Just got discontinued a couple years ago when they got bought out.
Ooh.
It's pretty basic bait, pretty
it's got
normal
rings on
profile.
It, so, I mean, I'm a big fan of baits with rings on them. Like my favorite worm of all time is the OG Lucky Strike ringworm.
Yep.
And I don't know why. This isn't scientific, but I feel you get a hookup on a ring bait better because you don't take much for it to get out of the plastic. You can hide the tip pretty good. And that Who Daddy was a big bait. But when they bit it, you caught them. And I think it's something about the way the hook slides through that ring.
Yeah, they still make the small one, but the big one was the juice, especially where I was from.
I'll remember that next time I go tackle hunting. Ben needs big Who Daddies, and
yeah, I still got like 600 of them, but it's not.
I think I remember you ordering like a pile from me one time, a long time ago, because the box stunk really bad.
Yeah, they're very strong garlic. Yeah, and it was like their packaging always just like leaked everywhere.
What about fish scent? Let me ask you: are you on? Is this stuff legit? Are you a bait fuel guy? Are you a scent guy? Or does it even matter?
That stuff's a myth. It's not real.
I agree. I wasted $9 on that.
I don't know. You can do whatever you want to with it. But no, I don't believe in scent. I've tried it a ton. Um, I don't think I believe in it. I'm never going to rule anything out. I'm always a student of the game. I've tried it a lot though, and there's I really love a couple different types of scents that I feel like I've done better on than without it potentially. Like Procure, I really love their
Yeah.
stuff. They make all their stuff is made with real bait fish, and so I don't see how that could hurt you.
Right.
But I've never done well with anything else to the point where I feel like it makes a difference.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same myself. I don't think adding scent's going to hurt you. Now, obviously, if you
I
put
think it can.
if you put doe pee on your baits, like for deer hunting,
Yeah.
probably not a good idea. But if you're putting garlic on worms and shad scent on swim baits, I don't think it's really going to hurt you. But obviously, if you put
Probably not. But you got to think about it. Like, if I mean, you're trusting that that's a shad scent. That's what shads smell like. Probably shouldn't put that much trust into a brand. At least I feel like with like the Procure stuff, like I've talked to the owners, like I know them. I know they grind up every type of bait fish into that formula. But I don't know, man. It's an interesting part of fishing. It's a confidence thing, obviously, but it's easier not to deal with it than to deal with it, and I haven't seen a huge difference.
Yeah, it's always a topic. I feel like this, and I'm not trying to make fun of bait fuel, and I'm not trying to be controversial, but I feel part of bait fuel is just a big giant guerrilla marketing. Like, and you know this, if you market something enough and pay enough pros and influencers, eventually the snowball a catch. And I'm not saying it's hurting anybody, but dude, I mean, I've been in the boat and used it with someone that was catching them every cast on a worm, and I've got it. I'm not, I couldn't tell you any difference. So
yeah, so it's a lot of marketing, but hey, we're sitting here talking about it right now, so it's like Hook Apparel. It's not any better than anything else. It's worse than most stuff, but go to Walmart. Go to Walmart on a Tuesday night and you'll see 3 people wearing it. Never fished before, so
just 3. You ought to go to my Walmart.
300.
Yeah. You come to Kentucky one of these days, you'll see. I hadn't looked at the open schedules. And it's always weird though. It's like they go everywhere around me, and used to, if there's a tournament, everyone threw 24 right past my house. So I'm hoping maybe there might be an event where you do good or something, you got to take 24 back through Kentucky, and you can stop by and meet, and we'll go fish Kentucky Lake. This gar hole it is. Actually, it's getting better. It's actually getting better.
Good.
And we can go to Lake X, or we'll go back to the Tennessee River. I actually got a show with Menendez coming up. We got like a 6-pounder on a top water.
Oh, sweet. That's awesome.
But, I got to Zach Kennard keeps spamming the chat here. Zach,
go to bed, Zach.
Yeah. He said something about what about them Patriots, bro? Fins up.
I mean, it's a 1 or 2 down years. I mean, what have the Dolphins done?
Like, absolutely nothing.
Nothing since Dan Marino, and that was like 100 years ago. So
I'm a Dolphins fan too, so that hurts.
Yeah, well, I mean, Nebraska's been good sooner than the Dolphins have been worth a shit or won anything. So that's saying something.
Huh. Me and Zach, we got a good fins up relationship, but you speak a lot of truth. And I really contemplated my sports teams last year. The Vols, the Dolphins, and I root for the Mariners in baseball.
Ooh.
It's,
where'd that come from?
It's King Griffey Jr., the greatest of all time. In my opinion. The sweetest swing, anyway. Like, dude, I was obsessed with Griffey. I got so many Griffey sports cards that maybe I can put Baitman Jr. through college on that. So,
damn, deal.
Yeah. So here's a question. I'm gonna give RJ a little plug here. See Powerhouse Lithium on your shirt. I think RJ's a good dude. When I told him when I get a boat, I'll put your lithiums in my boat. How much is the lithium game? As much as forward-facing sonar is going, how much is going to lithium-style batteries helped you out?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Randy Blockett's going to make a video about how lithium batteries have wrecked bass fishing. I'm sure they have somehow. Isn't it weird that, like, it costs substantially more money for lithium batteries, and it's a huge advancement, like unbelievably large advancement in the sport, but forward-facing sonar is ruining bass fishing. Which is it? What's ruining it? Is it mapping? Is it side imaging? Is it lithiums? Is it forward-facing sonar? No, it's just one of them. Anyways, I'm not going to go off on a tangent.
No, that's fine. We're all for it.
Lithium batteries are incredible. It's embarrassing that our industry took so long to try to go that direction. And of course, once we did, boats started exploding, catching on fire. So that wasn't good.
I think that was a lot of that in the charging issues. Like a lot of people were trying to use chargers that just weren't compatible with it.
I try to understand the stuff that Bob and RJ tell me, and they're just like wizards about it. And I'm just like, I deal with technology and make a living with making videos, but I can't even wrap my head around what they're telling me about this technology. But yes, it was some type of problem with the regulator of overcharging the batteries that made it do that, which is a thing of the past. Yeah, man, the powerhouse of lithiums have been incredible on my boat this year. I haven't killed any of them. The 16-volt battery that I run, so it's great because I have the 4 graphs, I have 360 and live scope, so I have like 6 different electronic systems on my boat, on top of course, the live wells, the lights, all that. And I run all of that directly to a 16-volt battery. That's all it controls. Then I have my separate 12-volt just to start the engine. And just the longevity of my 12-volt starting battery is just like, it's night and day. I mean, I'm like everyone else. I've dealt with just any battery starts to show a sign of wear, or you don't spend enough on a good starting battery, and the first day you use it, you are going to know immediately that it is not the right battery for you. I haven't had to deal with any of that since I switched to these lithiums, which has been incredible.
So, are you still running the Camus next year?
Yeah, so I'm getting a new boat here. It's just needs to be rigged, needs to be wrapped, needs to have electronics put on it, jack plate and everything, poles, hopefully in the next couple weeks.
So I've been in one on Lake X, which don't count because we didn't start the outboard, even though it's 100 acres. Right. Yep. But I love the layout. Like, as far as fishing, and I'm not sponsored by Camus, I can't afford one. I'm just saying I love the layout, and it fished really, really good. I know Hellabass has got a CX20, I think, and the one I was in was a CX21, and like I was like, whoa, this is a big boat. So, yeah, I've always been a Triton guy, man. I love Tritons. If I could buy one right now, I'd find about a 2015 Elite. But I was really impressed with the Camus, and it looks like, compared to other boats, I don't know if you got to deal with Boatworks or not. I can't ever keep up. I think you do, but compared to other boats, the price point really is not bad.
Yeah, it's a pretty average price point in the boat market. It's my favorite boat that I've ever had. Once again, I'm not sponsored by them. I'm sponsored by Boatworks. They hook me up, and I could have whatever boat they have, between Skeeter and just a lot of nice boats. And I definitely wouldn't pick anyone but besides that Camus. The layout's great. It fishes giant like a big old Ranger, but it rides so well and so smooth and handles so well. The biggest thing with that boat is it's not going to go 78 miles an hour, but that 1.5 to 2.5 foot chop that every other boat that I've ever been in, you have to like kind of throttle back and be like, okay, I'm not going to go 70, I'm going to go 58 in. You can blast. It rides higher, kind of like the Vexuses do. Yeah. You just sit up higher in the column. It's really weird how it rides, but you can go straight over the top of that, and that's the chop that's on the water 75% of the days that you fish. And so yeah, man, it's been great. I love it. I've had no problems.
A lot easier on your back when you're up like that.
For sure. I'm
telling you, a Ranger broke my back a few years ago. I went down on my back, and I promise it was due to a wave I took. Brad asks, Ben, is #Janks going to be in the MF or Derby rig? I don't know. I might have to pay Ben to put that on a windshield.
Well, I might have Kevin's little face on there, so we'll have that.
Just don't do the one where I'm shaving, just got the mustache and my double chin's hanging out.
All right, you talked me into it. That's the one I'm using. I'll put #Janks across your face.
You know what we got to do? We got to give this draw away. We got 230 people in here.
Deal.
And I want to thank everybody for joining tonight. So I made the deal where the chat was subscriber only. just to keep the porn filters out and stuff like that. So let me do this giveaway here. I'll have to pull it up on the split screen on this StreamYard real quick. Present. Stay patient with me. Share screen. Window. I'm learning on the fly here, so.
Oh, that's good. I can't even keep up with the podcast thing.
Here we go. All right, we're here. I am actually going to give my channel members just an extra luck because they do throw me that bone every month. And if you're not a channel member, or if you left the channel membership, you can always join back. I don't do the best at putting out as much content as Ben, but I appreciate everyone and appreciate every donation. So, all right, I'm going to make a magic word here. And the magic word is going to be draw with an exclamation point. So I put that in there, and all I have to type is draw with an exclamation point, and you'll be entered in this chat. We'll give it a few minutes for everyone to get in there. Ben, before we sign off and give this away, anything else you want to talk about real quick? Is there anything in the industry that's interesting you right now or disinteresting you? Do you think YouTube's getting a little watered down? I feel like the traction right now, unless you're doing something controversial, like it's getting kind of hard.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's for sure watered down. Every platform is watered down. It has been for a while now, but it gets worse all the time. I feel like all the pro anglers have been unhappy about people that are on YouTube giving bogus tips when they don't have anything to back it with. And at this point right now in time, that has gotten so much substantially worse. It's crazy. Some people made a living off of giving these crazy tips that are just a little bit, they're good at making titles and thumbnails, and they don't know what they're talking about. So yeah, I think that's interesting. It's definitely saturated, but it is what it is. Our sport is whatever you want to make it. And so I think that's important for all the haters out there to keep in mind that love my channel or hate my channel or love the tip channels or love pro fishermen or hate pro fishermen or hate live scope or love live scope. I think the biggest thing is we all got to remember fishing is exactly what we want to make it. It's what you want to do with it. If you want to go catch them on live scope all day, that's amazing. Great. It's good that you get to catch fish. If you want to sit on a bucket with a pail of night crawlers and catch them on a spillway, that's great too, as long as we're all enjoying it. But let's try to not be hateful towards other people on Facebook and all these damn comment places where you think you have a voice, but your voice is embarrassing to everyone you know if they would see that comment. Because as soon as I comment back to you after you say something bad about me, you're just going to flat out start backpedaling and look like an idiot. So let's think about that before we make our comments on social media about if we don't like how someone caught a fish or we think that they cheated or something or another. We're all just making the best of what we can in fishing. There is a lot of fraudulent people out there that are fakers that are trying to say things they aren't. But don't go after someone that's trying to catch fish a certain way because you don't believe in it or because you don't understand it. I don't understand a lot of things in the fishing industry too, but if someone wants to use live bait or whatever, I'm not going to kill them for it on social media.
Yeah, like I agree with that. I'm glad you weren't talking about me on the bait tips because I'd make horrible thumbnails, so that kind of eliminated me.
No.
Now, I will say, have I gave some tips that aren't perfect? Sure. Do I use everything I talk about? No. But I've been in the boat with so many guys and soak information up from guys. And yes, I do retread some things, but I would never tell guys to do something I wouldn't do or fish a bait or technique a certain way that I've never even tried. But one cool thing about fishing, Ben, is you can experiment and do things any way you want to. And I agree, if there was a lot more peacefulness from people, and we're in this cancel culture, and people get jealous really easy, whether they're pro fishermen or they're guides, and they see a couple guys getting traction. Their response now is, let's figure out how to knock this guy off a pedestal, and dude, if you're not having fun fishing, it doesn't matter. I don't care what you fish with. All right, we're gonna give this away. We got 101 people eligible for this. Let's give away this draw real quick. Beasley Basson, you've been subscribed for almost 2 years. All right, so I'm gonna type my email here in the chat. Congrats, Beasley Basson. Here's my email. Send me your address. It's hard for me to podcast and type at the same time. All right. So, Beasley, dude, you just won an autographed draw from Ben Milliken.
Yeah.
So, they come out of my personal stash. I'll try to get it shipped quick. I'm the worst shipper in the world. You just keep on me. Make sure you email me, and I'll get you taken care of. So
that's awesome, man.
But Ben's been really good to me, and so is 6 Cents. I'm glad to be back with them this year. The industry's crazy right now, Ben. we got the post-COVID blues, and I appreciate anybody that supports 6 Cents. Use my code Baitman. Use MF10. Use JR10. Just go use the code and buy something. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, yes, numbers are good for individuals, but if the companies we're supporting are growing, that's a big thing. And again, Ben, I want to thank you very much for joining me on the stream. I love having big time guests. I love having guests that people don't know about. But to me and you go back, we just got to go fishing. The 2 times we've had a chance to fish with each other, we didn't even get to fish together at Ivy or Choke Canyon.
I know, man.
And it just hadn't happened. I think the only time we really hung out a lot was at ICAST one year.
Yeah. Yep.
And we
that was the only time I've ever been to ICAST. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not worth going back to me.
No, I won't go back again probably. But
are you going to go to the Classic this year?
No, I don't plan to. I would love to go every year, but it's just not going to be in the books.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't like all the orange that's going to be there in Knoxville either.
Oh, I don't got a problem with the orange, man. I think it's badass. But I'd love to see Tennessee back doing good things again.
Dude, we beat Bama 52-49, and I hope they never forget it. But
yeah, for sure, man. Hey,
so
I don't have any bad blood against any of those teams.
I'm going to throw this out here real quick. We got Zach in the chat. What about Baitman starting an exclusive 6 Cents podcast where we just talk about 6 Cents for the 6 Cents people? And I'll record it here. We'll throw it on the channel. We'll get some of the team members and and who else, and we'll do a little podcast maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks, something like that. What do you think?
Yeah,
about that?
Man, I think 6 Cents definitely needs to have a podcast. So someone that knows the game extremely well, and everyone on staff, and obviously you're made of free time too, so it's perfect.
Yeah, that's why I said every 2 weeks, not every week. But
anyways, 4 times a week.
No, bro, I can't. Dude, I actually uploaded a unboxing video and stream this week. As Hellabass said, dude, what's going on? I about fell out of my chair. I said, I'm going to try for 3. And he said, no, just save it for next week. But anyway.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
I'll get with ZK with that and Casey, and maybe we'll roll one up. I don't know if I don't know what we'll do for the first one, but we'll talk about. I might just get Father Zach on there. Maybe he can plug us.
Let Zach just roll.
Yeah, man. So anyway, we're gonna wrap
a 6-hour podcast.
We're gonna wrap this up again, Ben. Thank you so much. Not only as a guest, but a friend. You have a really busy schedule, and can't wait to see the content. And I'll be rooting for you in the Opens, and hopefully we get to do another podcast after the Open season. And you get to say, yeah, I got to put this much money in my bank account, and here's a trophy, and
Oh, man, that would be incredible. I appreciate you having me on, Kevin. I appreciate everyone that's been able to share kind words and cheer for what we're doing. It's going to be a really tough year, but hopefully it turns out great. At the very worst, we are going to document every minute of it, so you get to see the ups and the downs.
All right. Well, we're going to let Ben go take a nap or go to sleep. And, dude, I got to go do some editing for another TV show. So, guys, y'all have a good one. Thanks again for everybody joining me. Go subscribe to Ben's channel if you haven't. If you're here, subscribe to mine if you haven't. But y'all have a good one. Use my code Baitman on 6 Cents Fishing.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, buddy. All right, guys. Ben's out of here. Thank you guys so much for joining. I hope you enjoyed this stream. hour and a half. I'm going to download this at the end of the week. I'll figure out a podcast platform to stick it on to host it. And so if you're listening, this is the Baitcast. I'm Baitman Baxter. Check me out on Instagram at Baxter the Baitman, Facebook, and I'm always a DM away. If you got a question about a bait, you got a question about a rod, a reel, I may not know the answer, but I'll put you in the right direction. And thank you to all the channel members for joining up and sticking with me. I know I'm not the best at uploading a lot of content, but I'm going to try harder this year. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoy some family time. Y'all have a good rest. See y'all later.